Hello, and welcome to day 19 of 100 Days of Soulforce. My name is Joseph Arnold, and today I'm going to be talking about the spirit of the gift in the arts. I love this subject, and it's going to be one of the chapters of my book. You can see my outline on the wall there in post-it notes behind me. Um, and I love this because it just speaks so deeply to my soul. The the unrequited longings. Questions like how do I make a living doing something that I actually find satisfying? It, the spirit of the gift shines very clear, beautiful light on that question. And also, like, how do I play in a way that feels really good? How do I find a life that's meaningful? And how can I learn to play with effortlessness and mastery and beauty? I believe that one of the things that makes life meaningful is to be able to give our gifts well and to have them well received. And this is such a counterintuitive framework for understanding, well, counterintuitive for Westerners, us moderns, but it's so powerful and beautiful. And I think you're going to really like it too. So, we're going to be talking about what is gift and where does this idea come from and how to apply it to some general areas of especially performance arts, but arts in general. And yeah, so there we go. So again, my name is Joseph Arnold. I'm a violinist, Alexander Technique teacher, and the founder of the Soulforce Arts Academy. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States. And yeah, I'm writing this book. Again, you can see the outline for chapter 7 on the spirit of the gift. It's a part of Soulforce Arts. It's such an important part that it's a whole chapter in my book. And I think you'll see why as we go through this. So first of all, the gift. It's not just something you do on birthdays. It's something that goes very, very far back into human history, way before there's anything like money. And, it's not even just human history, it's like the whole structure of the universe. The sun, you didn't earn the sun's light, it's a gift. You didn't earn the earth's bounty, that's also a gift. You didn't earn your birth was a gift. You didn't earn your parents, they were a gift. You didn't earn the culture and time that you grew up in. Your interests and proclivities, your passions, your strengths and your weaknesses. Excuse me. These are all unearned. They're gifts. Even if you have a gift for working hard, really making things happen, where did you get that proclivity? That's also a gift. So even just right now, before we get any further, just sense your body. And notice what's happening as I'm talking about things being a gift rather than being earned. Our civilization is based on the idea of the separate self. Like, I'm over here, the world is over there, the world is other, and in order to get things done, I have to make it happen. And that's in large part what earning it means. Like when you're little, well, you don't get to go get your candy until you earn it by doing your homework. There's this manipulation and striving that just fills our childhood. And some of the depression and anxiety, the diseases of despair that we see in modern life, the feeling of meaninglessness, the meaninglessness crisis definitely comes from this, is the feeling of having squashed our gifts in an attempt to survive this society in which we live. And so it might bring up a lot of feelings just to be thinking about this. Your gifts, your life as a gift, the air that you breathe, the artistic interests that you have, your talents. Like, art is all about gift. There's a wonderful book, highly recommend reading it, The Gift by Lewis Hyde. This book is about the spirit of the gift in the arts, and also just the history of it in human cultures and fairy tales, and uses all kinds of really fun examples. And he says that art without the spirit of the gift is just commodity. So there has to be something extra. So I'll give a couple definitions of what a gift is to get it a little bit a sense of what I'm talking about here. So a gift has a few characteristics. It must be a characteristic of sovereignty. So it can't be given under coercion. If I'm holding a gun to your head and I say, give me all your money, and you give it to me, that's not a gift. So it must be sovereignty. And there's a sense of release with a gift. There aren't any strings attached. I mean there are different kinds of gifts that happen. And there can be actually a greater bond that happens. But that bond between people happens really only when there's a release of the gift. And one way of thinking about the release is that you give up control of trying to get something back. Making sure you get yours. Give up control. The gift goes around the corner, Lewis Hyde says. And that's part of what gives the power. It gives the gift power. Gifts move in a circle. And if you live in a gift society, our society is definitely not a gift society, but if you do live in one, then there's a sense of trust that when you give to somebody, eventually and in some way, it'll come back to you. So there's an ease in giving that we don't have in our modern culture. And gifts strengthen relationships. If you give something to somebody, they might have a tendency to feel closer to you and to want to give in return, which is not true of transactions. Transactions, I give you money, you give me the thing, done. This is part of why we are losing community in modern life. It's because everything has become monetized, transactional. So that you can see that this touches a lot of parts of modern life, and it touches many of the problems that we have in modern life. It goes very, very deep. So examples in the arts. It's like the whole question of commodification, like a sellout, right? Is somebody who makes their art, gives their gift, something that cannot be reduced to an amount of money, gives their gift in service of nothing higher than money. And I'm not saying money is bad. Money is best understood, I think, as a means of exchange. It makes things easier. But it is a poor substitute for the human connection that comes through giving our gifts well. And this is what it feels like when we're up on stage and it's like really letting our hearts pour out. And there's a really great audience there. Again, it's giving our gifts well and having them be well received that I think makes life really meaningful, makes art really meaningful. And so an example from learning. So for instance, maybe I'll tell you a story. So I had a student who's a violinist. He came for Alexander lessons, and he was playing with a lot of tension. And I asked him, so what would you have to sacrifice in order to be free of this tension? And he thought for a moment, and he said, oh, well, I'd have to let go of wanting to show you how great I am. He calls it his arrogance, wanting to prove something to me about his playing. And there are many other variations on this. It might be proving something about self-worth for you, or just showing off or trying to be right. There are all these other motivations that don't really serve the gift of who you are and what you're doing when you're performing or making art. And it's these other aims that can get in the way of that gift. And so an idea like sacrifice is a part of gift, that sacrifice is like the release of control in service of something you actually care about. So of course, my student's deepest wishes for playing weren't to just merely try to impress me. So we had a bit of a laugh over that. And when he realized that, of course, he was able to play much more freely. And we talked a little bit about what would help him, what would be a greater aim, something he actually cared about more. And it was, something like beauty, just the spirit of beauty. And then to make music and to practice in service of beauty carries a very different psychophysical response in the body. It's a very different attitude than serving the master of trying to prove how good you are, or trying to avoid shame, or just trying to get it right. It has a different effect in your body and an effect on the output of your art. So one aspect then of gift, a very important one, is sacrifice. Not in the sense of onerous delay of gratification, like kind of the Puritan sense, but in the sense of remembering what you really want and doing things in service of that. Oh boy, gunky this morning. So in our final moments, there is a return gift that happens when you make this sacrifice. And that return gift is usually like greater creative energy, greater freedom of movement and of thought, and ease. This is why it's really important. I'll talk more about this in another episode, maybe, about for Alexander technique, like letting go of tension. So so maybe we can think of this in terms of homework. Why don't you play a bit today? Do your creative practice, whatever it is that you do, and notice which master you're serving. And if it's not something that you really want to be serving, like just trying to get it right, then see if there's something else, something deeper for you. Something that would feel really good for you to give your gifts towards. And then begin giving your gifts towards that. There's so much more to say here, but we are definitely at our time. So I'm gonna wrap things up here. Yeah, just notice overall what moved in you as you heard me speaking about all this. What longings did this touch? What resistance came up? It's very fertile soil, I find, thinking about the gift. Okay, that's good for now. So, yeah, if you like this video and you'd like to get some more of this kind of material, subscribe to my YouTube channel, sign up for my newsletter, that kind of thing. And yeah, I hope to see you tomorrow.